What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. TJ Dillashaw retires following recent shoulder injury. When TJ Dillashaw stepped into the octagon at UFC 280 in an attempt to reclaim the bantamweight title he never lost inside the octagon, many thought the former Team Alpha Male fighter would cement his place atop the 135-pound division once more. Unfortunately for Dillashaw and fight fans, the bout was anything but competitive. In the first round, Dillashaw quickly dislocated his shoulder, leading many to think that the fight was over. Despite that, he managed to survive a grueling onslaught from Aljamain Sterling before having his shoulder pop back in between rounds by his corner. When the second round started, Dillashaw's shoulder dislocated again before Sterling ultimately secured a TKO win. After the fight, Dillashaw apologized to fight fans and the rest of the division for fighting with a severely compromised shoulder, before revealing that he would have to undergo shoulder surgery that would sideline him for quite some time. Despite that, Dillashaw remained adamant that he was going to take time to heal up and recover before making his return. This week, however, Dillashaw's manager reportedly informed the UFC that the former champion had decided to retire, bringing an end to his storied career. At the same time, fans began to speculate as to whether or not Dillashaw was truly retired. Given the fact that many have accused Conor McGregor of exploiting a loophole in USADA's testing policy that allows fighters to remove themselves from the testing pool without being tested until they're ready to go through the 6-month testing period, many on Twitter were quick to speculate that Dillashaw is planning to use the same loophole while recovering from shoulder surgery before eventually declaring his intentions to return to the octagon and go through 6 months of testing to return to the octagon. It's important to note that these theories are pure speculation at this time, and Dillashaw's lengthy road to recovery may very well be difficult enough for that the former champion has truly decided to call it a career. With fans hopeful that Dillashaw will return to the octagon once more after recovering, only time will tell how things play out. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson eyeing 3 potential opponents after win over Kevin Holland. This past weekend in Orlando, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was able to snap a 2-fight skid by defeating Kevin Holland in a thrilling Fight of the Year contender. The win was a much-needed one for Thompson, who hadn't had his hand raised since 2020 when he put on a masterclass of a performance against Jeff Neal. Following a particularly impressive win for Wonderboy, the undefeated kickboxer revealed 3 opponents he would like to face next, and boy did they get fight fans talking. He spoke on the MMA Hour this week to discuss his future plans, saying,
"Well, there's a few opponents that are being talked about. Number one, Conor McGregor. People were wanting me to fight Conor. There is the BMF, which I've been trying to get. BMF versus BMF. People are wanting to see that, and people want to see the striking class. They want to see a strike. And of course, Pereira. Is it Michelle?
Yeah.
Michelle Pereira?
With Conor McGregor poised to make a return to the octagon in 2023, a fight with Thompson could put 2 of the best strikers in the UFC against one another in a fight that would certainly do pay-per-view numbers. At the same time, a clash between the BMF and the NMF has been a rematch fans have been clamoring for. With that said, however, many have pointed out online that Masvidal is currently outside of the welterweight top 10. With Thompson currently ranked number 6, a rematch between the two likely wouldn't do much to help Wonderboy reach another title shot. Last but certainly not least is a showdown with Michael Pereira, a fighter who's been hailed as one of the most exciting men in the sport. Despite being ranked 14th in the welterweight division, a showdown between Pereira and Thompson would put 2 of the most electrifying strikers on the roster against one another. Who do you want to see Thompson fight next? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Paddy Pimblett eager to prove he's more than just hype. Despite the fact that he's currently 3-0 inside the octagon, many believe that Paddy Pimblett will fall short of cracking the top 10 of the UFC's lightweight division. As the former Cage Warriors featherweight champion gears up for his highly anticipated bout with Jared Gordon this coming Saturday at UFC 282, Pimblett is on a mission to prove that he's more than just a hype train. Since joining the UFC in 2021, Pimblett has repeatedly found himself subject to criticism, from fighters like Alexander Volkanovski cautioning him against cutting massive amounts of weight to make the 155-pound lightweight limit, to others doubting his striking abilities. Paddy the Baddy has heard it all over the course of the last 2 years. With a bout against 11-fight UFC veteran Jared Gordon rapidly approaching, Pimblett spoke on a recent episode of UFC Embedded to discuss the situation, explaining that he plans to prove he's more than just hype.
I think after Saturday night, people will stop calling me a hype train because I'm going to put on a clinic against Jared. I'm going to show that I'm levels above.
The fight between the two men was recently promoted to the co-main event bout after the main event scrap between Jiri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira was scrapped when the champion suffered a brutal shoulder tear. After the co-main event bout between Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev was promoted to the main event and was ultimately made for the vacant light heavyweight title, it was Pimblett and Gordon who were slotted for the co-main event. How do you see the fight between Pimblett and Jared Gordon going? Sound off in the comments below. Conor McGregor threatens to end Dustin Poirier. The pleasantries that existed between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier leading up to their rematch have all but vanished into thin air. After McGregor was TKO'd by Poirier at UFC 257, he cast aside the nice guy persona and embraced the villain MMA fans had grown accustomed to. After the pair clashed for a third time at UFC 264, McGregor continued to trash talk Poirier and his wife while sitting in the octagon with a broken leg. Considering the unfinished business and the injury that ended that fight, many questioned whether or not the UFC would look to book the two men for a fourth fight when McGregor was cleared to return from injury. Fast forward a year and a half, and McGregor is currently navigating his path back to active competition, while trying to figure out whether or not he will have to undergo a 6-month mandatory testing period under USADA. At the same time, Poirier, fresh off a third-round win over Michael Chandler, is hospitalized with battling a staph infection. After reports surfaced regarding Poirier's hospitalization, McGregor took the opportunity to fire off a tweet taking aim at his longtime foe. This prompted a response from Poirier, who made sure to reference McGregor's recent alleged PED usage. Unsurprisingly, McGregor was quick to fire back, threatening to end Poirier permanently. "Yeah, I'm in Amsterdam jacked like Van Damme. You weren't just hurt, pal. You were scared hurt, don't forget it. I'm coming back to put you in a box, full of it. I'm sending you off this earth, permanent. Stay waiting for the roadhouse as well, pal. You and the missus will love it." The exchange drew attention from newly minted free agent Nate Diaz, who made sure to get his own shots in at both men. When McGregor returns to the octagon, do you want to see him and Poirier square off once again? Or would you rather see Nate Diaz re-sign with the UFC and insert himself into the mix? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. And now for our breaking news story of the day. Rafael Dos Anjos criticizes Islam Makhachev for accepting fight with Alexander Volkanovski. This weekend, former lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos picked up a big victory over Bryan Barberena in Orlando, Florida, to return to the win column at welterweight. After the victory, RDA called for a highly anticipated matchup with Conor McGregor after a fight between the two fell apart several years ago when Dos Anjos broke his foot. After the fight, Dos Anjos spoke at the post-fight press conference to discuss the landscape of the 155-pound division, including the upcoming champion versus champion fight between Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski. The way the former champ sees things, Makhachev should have welcomed a new contender into the mix rather than signing to fight Volkanovski. Dos Anjos spoke at the post-fight press conference about the fight, admitting that although he feels confident Makhachev will win the fight, he wishes he accepted a bout with a top contender.
I think Islam win that fight. I think he could take somebody at lightweight, a real challenge, but these guys, I can't understand that.
Despite his thoughts on the 155-pound division, RDA confirmed that he was going to continue his run at welterweight after the win over Barberena. Of course, this isn't the first time Dos Anjos has attempted to make a run at 170 pounds. After losing the lightweight title back in 2016, RDA made his welterweight debut the following year, going on a run before then losing an interim welterweight title fight to Colby Covington. After a rough stretch at welterweight, he made a short-lived return to lightweight in 2020. With the latest win, it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for the former champ. Thanks so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.